Welcome back, guys. I missed my first 1 month check-in where I upload a video once every month just to get things kind of smoothed over on the channel, but I let it go on to 2 months. So this month we're going to get two videos, one which is going to be coming in either today the 19th or tomorrow the 20th, and you're going to be getting another one at the end of the month. Hopefully I can get it done by the end of the month, and if so, then there you go, two videos. And then after that I'm going to go back to posting one, maybe two if I find something that interesting to talk about. But yeah. Okay. So with that out of the way, I think that from the title you can tell what we're going to be talking about. And today we're going to be looking at Fallout 4 and one of the DLC sized mods that I didn't know was happening until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, which kind of coincided with the release of an update, right? Fallout London is something that's been in the works for quite some time, and they finally released a new gameplay official trailer on their official Fallout London channel. So we're going to take a look at the trailer. We're going to take a look at some of the things that I found on the website and what I found most interesting about this DLC sized mod, right? So let's jump right in. So like other Fallout games and DLCs, it has its initial character selection where you can allocate your attributes. This allows you to basically create your character the way you want, just like in every Fallout game. Every Fallout game, you start out in some really oddball situation and you're allowed to customize your character. You can select your attributes, you know, intelligence, endurance, charisma, anything like that, and then you get into the actual gameplay. The gameplay looks similar to Fallout 4, though there are a few differences that I noticed while I was watching the trailer. After you finish creating your character in typical fashion, like I mentioned, you're always allowed to escape due to some catastrophic event. After you navigate for some time, you use a terminal, and this is where things start to change just a bit. The typical ambiance feels the same, the architecture feels the same, the rundown buildings look alike, but the model of the terminal, I noticed, is slightly different. This isn't the typical model that we've seen in Fallout 3 or 2 all the way to Fallout 4 up till this point. Now, aside from the monitor or the terminal, there aren't any rad roaches in the beginning stages of the game. Instead, there are rad shrews, and typically you find enemies like rad roaches, but in this case rad shrews, and these are your introduction to actual irradiated animals or insects, right? Your first taste of actual threat. So they're typically fairly easy to kill. You can kill them with a few punches and then you can move on with the rest of the level. But yeah, it's interesting to see that they changed that up a little bit. Also, the Pip-Boy is no longer the wrist-equipped version of the Pip-Boy, right? Now you have a tablet-style Pip-Boy, which is kind of interesting, right? I like the traditional iconic wrist-mounted one. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan of it, but the change that came towards Fallout London is great. I actually really like it. If you can see what I'm presenting in the screen, it's a major change to the previous one. It's also very modern but very vintage, and I think the approach that they took was fantastic. You know, it changes up the gameplay a little bit, like I mentioned before, and it adds to that immersion that we're not in the US, we're in the UK, and so it kind of just bleeds into that overall feel and atmosphere of the new DLC coming out. Also, the loading screens are identical to those in Fallout 4, but instead of showcasing the typical animals and, you know, items and things like that in game, they change it up a bit to match that London feel, and it's kind of interesting. It's a small change, but it is attention to detail that makes the game change and the feel change. So this is where the end of the actual gameplay trailer that I was watching ends, and we're going to move on to the website and what I found on the website. Looking at their website, they have more areas to showcase. They have a lot of screenshots and concept art that really just gives you an idea of how big this project is. They cover Camden, HACKEY, Greenwich, Bromley, and many other areas that I thought were fairly interesting. I'm not going to add them all because there's a bunch. I'll just leave it linked so you guys can check them out, and then you can get a taste of what I'm talking about for yourselves. Now, the screenshots that we're going over, these are exterior areas, and they give you a feel of what the outside city is going to look, but they also have screenshots of interiors. And looking at some of these screenshots, you can get an idea of how diverse the areas are going to be and how wide of a variety you're gonna have to explore different interiors, right? And like I said, that's just another plus. I actually like to see variety. Most of the buildings in some games kind of look alike, so if you have different parts of the city, or different parts of the London area, you're going to want to have the interiors change, right? Not too much, but some, so you can identify that you're not in the same spot. Now, they also have a 3D showcase section where they showcase all of the materials that they're going to be using. They range from buildings, cars, robots, and attire. And this is what finally ties in everything together, right? The cars change, the buildings, the robots, like the architecture and the style of robots that they use, and even the armor that they're using. And this is what I found interesting, to see that they're going to completely redesign everything and not use some of the old physical models for, you know, vehicles and buildings, and even the clothes, right? Everything changes, and it's all like London oriented, and that's what I like to see. I was kind of hoping that that's what they were going through to do when I was watching the trailer, so I'm glad to see that. That's a plus on my end. Some of the concept art that they have looks fairly interesting, and if we consider that it's going to be primarily based in London, it does give you the idea of it being a completely different world, right? You're not in Boston anymore, you're not in the US, you're somewhere different, and that's what's going to really sell this DLC and get people playing it. And I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to be free. I didn't dig that deep into it. It hasn't released yet, so they're still working on it and updating the audience on what's going to happen. But if it is free, I'm going to download it, and I'm actually going to take a stab at it because it looks fairly interesting. I'm looking forward to trying out something different that isn't the typical DLCs that I've played and are based in the US, right? Most of them that I've played feel fairly similar, with the same concept. They have the same power armor, the same enemies. They look fairly similar. Yeah, there are a few changes in the ones that I've played, but overall it's in the US, so it's all fairly similar. Now with this, you're getting a completely different experience, and now you're not necessarily in the US, but you're somewhere else, like I've reiterated throughout this entire video. But it is something that we need to focus on, right? Now, this is all the research I've done. I don't want to dive too deep into it because I'll probably do a deeper dive when it actually comes out and I can get my hands on it and play it, because all we have now is just screenshots, a website, and official gameplay trailer. The gameplay looks great. I'm sure I've added it into the video so you know what it looks like, but for now, this is where I'm going to leave it, and if when it comes out it becomes wildly popular, then I'll cover it in more depth and in a longer video. So I think this is where I'm going to end the video. I had fun looking at this, and I was kind of intrigued as to what's going to be coming in the future for Fallout 4. I think Fallout 4 has been kept alive by the dev and the community, and by a lot of people that aren't related to Bethesda, right? A lot of the devs creating these things are just independent devs, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into these DLCs, and when they do come out, it benefits us because then we can just play more Fallout instead of going out and playing like Fallout 76, where it's kind of trash and it wasn't received very well by the Fallout fan base, right? So I'm kind of happy to see something like this come out. Like I said, once it comes out, I will play it. But for now, I think this is where I'm going to leave it. And if you liked the video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comment section what you really thought was the most interesting aspect of this this official gameplay and some of the things we saw on the website. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. That's what I have for you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and then I'll see you guys in the next video.